Hello, everyone, and welcome to a client onboarding KYC user guide. So we're starting off here in the InfoTrack Compliance Centre, and we want to onboard an individual and conduct our KYC check. So what we'll do is we'll navigate to all services up here, go into people, and then we'll select InfoTrack ID, brackets, VOI. And this is our client onboarding and VOI dashboard that we land on here. To get things started, we'll go ahead and start new order. What I'll do is I'll use some demo data here. However, there will be a meta reference that will be populated. This will populate from your practice management system seamlessly. And as we are focusing on an individual here, all we need to do is input some key information, being the first name, middle name, and surname. Middle name is not obligatory. Date of birth, if you'd like, if you have that at hand. Also mobile number, and then an email address as well. You have the option to add additional clients in here as well, however many individuals as you'd like. I'll go ahead and click continue, and this is the KYC card. So this is the request that is going to be sent out to the client, which is Peter William McVeigh in this instance. So we have a verification of identity. That is a request that is sent out to Peter, and he can verify his identity. You have the option to select the level of verification that you'd like. Also have the different method of delivery. So you can request a liveness check, video recording. There's also this in-person verification workflow as well. And the use case here may be if your client perhaps may not be technologically savvy, or they may not own a smartphone, they can come into your office, or you can meet with them and you can conduct this AML client onboarding with them in person. You also have the option to change their role or capacity within the transaction. There's also a KYC onboarding form here as well. This is a questionnaire that is sent out to the client, and it's asking some questions for them to complete relating to the particular transaction here. I'll go ahead and preview this to give you a snapshot view of what this may look like. This is being pulled off the OzTrack starter kits. So it is OzTrack and Australian ready and compliant. Next, we have the PEPS sanctions and adverse media check. PEPS is short for politically exposed person. Sanctions is people who may be on the sanctions watch list, and adverse media, that is a search engine scrape of your client's name. If Peter William McVeigh or your client is any one of these screening checks, you will be alerted, and then you can make determinations on how you would like to proceed there. You have the option to select precise, near, or broad as a screening check. What I'll do is I'll click continue. We have some confirmation details that we need to populate here. This is to enable two-factor authentication, so you can securely access the personally identifiable information associated with this order to perform the verification. Once I click confirm, I'll go ahead and simulate consumer to show you what we will receive once the client has completed their end of the stick and completed their KYC onboarding form and their verification of identity here. The PEPS sanctions and adverse media is not something that your client needs to complete. That is a data scrape that happens in the background. We can see here that this client, Peter McVeigh, has completed everything that they need to. So what we will do now is we will go into the AML summary. But before that, you have the option to view the KYC onboarding form here, and you can download the VOI request that has come through as well. You also have the option to view the PEPS sanctions and adverse media check. Next in the workflow is to go into the AML summary, and this is where you have a holistic view of this particular onboarding. So we have a snapshot of Peter's ID. We can see some key details here. This has been pre-populated from the KYC onboarding form. And as I scroll down, we can see the level of checks that we have within this client due diligence check. So we can see that Peter or the client has provided a headshot and he's used his Australian passport, so on and so forth. Next, we need to go through an individual risk assessment. So these have been pulled off the OzTrack starter kits, and they are the inherent risks that may approach you, and you will select yes or no. There's a risk rating associated with each inherent risk. Let's say, for example, Peter William McVeigh is using virtual assets for a particular transaction, let's say for a conveyancing matter and he's purchasing a property, if he is using Bitcoin, you would select yes. However, I will go through these and select no. There is roughly 15 inherent risks, and you would go through these every onboarding that you have as per OzTrack's requirement. Once you go ahead and update the risk, we can see that Peter has been flagged as low risk. And now we have to go through some final onboarding checks here. Again, these have been pulled from OzTrack starter kits, and they're a tick box exercise saying that you establish reasonable grounds to do business with this client. Once we go ahead and save, we can go ahead and onboard this individual. Once I select onboard, there is an attestation to finally confirm your onboarding. Once confirmed, when I scroll up, we can see Peter William McVeigh. He's been onboarded, he's been deemed low risk, and this will populate through to your compliance center as well.